I appreciate you.
Of
Appreciate you.
course, dude. Yeah.
How was your weekend?
That's great, man. And Luisa went to work yesterday, did not teach a class. She was bored. It was awesome. Yeah. Best kind of
That
thing
is
ever.
love.
Yeah.
See, and
Yeah.
that's all the stuff we getting ready to talk to
Yeah.
talk
For
about, man.
sure.
That's
For
good,
sure.
good stuff. All right, cool. So, firstly, again, thank you for taking the time to have this conversation and jumping straight into it. So, I know you had a um, a whole corporate background prior to purchasing the franchise. What were you doing prior to?
Um,
Take that
yeah,
from
that's a good
you.
question. Yeah, I think you can basically call me or my career as like a digital or no, technical account manager. I worked with either creatives or engineers to move stuff, like get projects, move stuff forward, right? So I needed to understand certain technologies, certain creative workflows, and then, make sure that they actually got done. So I knew enough of whatever that technology or that creative process was to be dangerous, but not necessarily that, and then make sure that, things move forward. I guess a good way to
Absolutely.
describe what I did. Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, of all of the franchises that are out there and available, what made you and Louisa choose Zoom?
Great question. So for us, one of our passions, I've always been corporate, right? In LA, now worked at a couple of companies there, startups and whatnot. But at the end of the day, when we went home, we had our dog Diesel. One of our favorite things to do was train our dog. That's as best as we could. And so, it was our fun thing to do. And at the time, we didn't really think it would make money. So I was like, okay, because they were saying, why don't you be a dog trainer? Like, no, I can't raise a family on being a dog trainer. There's that. But that was always our passion. Okay. Eventually, career went on, COVID happened. I wanted to do something that was outside the corporate career. And we looked at different kind of business models and franchises, and this called out to us because it was dog training and positive reinforcement. So it was kind of, it really called out to us.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. So, how would you describe what it is that you guys do at Zoom Room, and who is it made for? Who is the model made for?
Yeah, so I think, like the Zoom Room model, and it kind of really, really like resonates is that, so we're positive reinforcement dog training gym, right? But what we like to say is that we don't train dogs, we train the humans who love them. You know, because a lot of times, training, the people associate it with a sit, a down, it's tricks, but ultimately it's your relationship with your dog. Why is your dog barking? Well, they may be a little scared right now. It's set up into a proper environment that helps with that. We are fortunate today. Luis and I came in early because we had one client who their dog snapped at the human. And so we had a nice conversation about, well, what happened? What startled the dog and what was the human's reaction? Because, once they understand that bigger picture, they're like, oh, maybe we did something accidentally that scared a dog a little bit and they reacted that way. And how can we kind of like make that relationship, go back to being better, or just telling the human, sometimes it happens, it's okay. So, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I know one of the things that you often share with us, your tagline, right? We don't train the dogs, we train the humans that love them.
Mm.
How would you describe that typical human experience from start to finish, like when they come in?
What I really like for people who come in, right, even if they do other style of training or whatnot, is the intent. They really want to help their dog, right? Nobody comes in to be like, I'm here to hurt my dog, to, do this thing. They want to help, you know, and kind of like other things, right? Me, like your business, right? Business coach. I have an idea, but I don't know how to be a business coach, right? And so, yeah, so a lot of times it's just sitting down, talking to them about what's going on, understanding their situation, understanding their background, understanding their goals. And then from there, right, we kind of fine tune it. You're doing great over here, but maybe because of this is what's happening, we need to change this a little bit. And once they understand the whys, it's a lot easier for them to kind of move forward. as opposed to, yeah, just make dogs sit. Like, what does that do? Like, why are we doing this? Right? And so that's really why, we really train the humans and understand the humans, which is very important as well. Because we all come from different backgrounds, different mindsets, different just daily situations. And once you understand that, it's easier to help them.
100%. And so what role does positive reinforcement play in how you go about engaging with the animals?
Amazing question. So it's first of all, it's science based, right? So I like to tell people, right, it's not just unicorns and rainbows. It's not bribing the dog with treats. Positive reinforcement is how you get your dog to want to listen to you, to be excited at the mere thought of working with you, right? And then the other part is once they have that, who cares, right? What's going on over there? I don't, yeah. So yeah, once you get that relationship going, everything else becomes a lot easier. So then that's where the positive reinforcement really comes in. And with Zoom Room, we don't just do puppies or obedience classes, as you know. We have other forms of training, not only because it's fun, because it's an expression of other ways that you can, have fun with your dog. I talk a lot about pup Pilates, where it's like the dogs get on inflatables. Originally, that was designed for older dogs or injured dogs. But really, what we found out was, if the dog realizes all I need to do is try, they try more. And then your bond just gets better from there.
Right, right. So how would you describe the gap between value versus the price of an orientation?
Oh, interesting. The value versus the price. I think for us, first off, we want to work at we want to make sure we are here to help the dog and the human, right? So yeah, it's easy enough to do kind of the basics, teach them the commands. But for us, for example, like again today, right, one of our clients was struggling, with a particular situation. Sometimes it's not even a class; it's a visit. And when people are visiting us, before we came in over here, we just gave some guidance. We're here for the long term. And so classes only really happen, if the dog and the human is ready. And we want to make sure the situation is there. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be like the cheapest per se, but overall support and value that you get. First of all the different classes that you can do, how we're here for them, how we adjust the classes. So it's like you're not forced to like finish, a group class if your dog's not ready. That's really because, we're really here to get the result more than just, doing a class for the sake of doing a class.
Right. And there is no financial commitment for the orientation, correct?
Oh, the orientation is absolutely free. It's a tour, right? And so yeah, but it's also not just us talking at them. It's us understanding their situation, us, talking about their dogs. Who else is in their dog's life? What are the challenges? I tell people, and maybe because it's my personality, right? Scheduled for 30, but it'll run long because I'm very talkative, right? And yeah, I will talk dogs all day. So sometimes I'll have an orientation if I have time for like an hour and a half because I have one more thing. I have one more question in this. We're always, whenever we can, we're happy to do that. Okay, yeah, because we love the dogs. The other way to get introduced over is called an evaluation. There's a little bit of a cost to that because they bring their dog in. It's a mini lesson, a temperament test, and then it's again understanding the dog, but seeing the dog in front of them. It's $25. But even then, one, you're gonna get more, than like I said in most private training sessions. And then two, if you rescue the dog, we do that evaluation for free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's the best way for someone to take their first step in exploring Zoom Room and the value that it can provide?
If you wanted to go on the website, it's just zoomroom.com. It should do like a location check, but if not, just do /COS. Or I just love if people would just call. So 719-301-9746. One, again, because I like to talk, but two, it's understanding that situation, right? So people can always call, email, or go on the internet, and then we're gonna spend our time really understanding your situation.
Right, right. So one of the things that's been interesting to kind of take in as we've been working together are the amount of Zoom rooms that have been going out of business just from the 2 years that we've been working with each other.
In fact, yeah.
So obviously it's a very kind of challenging market, but it has not been that for you guys. When you think about the amount of time that you were spending in the business prior to us kind of dialing in some of the things versus how your days are going now, how would you describe that transition as Zoom rooms are going out of business?
To be fair, right, not all of them are going out of it. It's a
Of course,
challenging time. I think,
of course not.
yeah. I know. I don't want to feel like I'm bad mouthing. No. To be fair, yeah, it is a challenging time. I feel for all businesses, and probably also for the dog training industry. Yeah. So, but it's for us. It's a matter of not just relying on what's there, right? If we follow the typical formula, it would have been digital marketing, go to Facebook, go to Google, wait for something to happen. And it is what it is. I think the shift for us, our first year, but especially before we started working with you, Jesse, was, yeah, we were the main focus, which felt really good at one point. But then, yeah, 60 to 80-hour weeks of just thinking about the business, being in the business, training the classes, going home, passing out, and then doing more, right? So that was just rinse and repeat. It was a great learning experience for us because now we definitely know what the business entails, but definitely not sustainable from a human standpoint. We are working with you. I think the difference was, and one, your patience, but two is just the fact of like, well, why, is just confirming that fact. We don't have to do everything, right? And what system can we put in place so that little thing, even though we know how to do it, how can Person X help us? How can we grow the business so that, a team member can focus on this? That's been very important, that kind of mindset, because, at first we felt very, very guilty. I felt very, very guilty about it because I felt, I was slacking off. But really what it does is it empowers me to do something that's, bigger serving for the business. So that's really been the difference. Of course, I still slip into my bad habits, as you know, but I think as a small business owner, you're always going to care or want to do the day-to-day stuff, but knowing that you don't have to, and it's not a bad thing, has been really good mindset for us.
Man. So you described it as patience, and like I honestly, it's not even patience for me. Like this is my passion. I love every week when you stand up at when we're in BNI and you talk about how you're able to kind of move back a little bit from some of the hands-on things that you've had to do in the past. So like it's not a patience. I understand the assignment, and it takes time for some of these things to like really become clear and for you to really see the value proposition. And it's my responsibility to kind of comb through all of the noise so that you can see the gold. In that, like, how would you describe how what made you go describe it as me having patience? Because we definitely we go back and forth. It's always constructive, but like, how would you describe our relationship in that context?
Well, because, we weren't looking for a cheerleader per se, right? Not to say that all business coaches are like that or whatnot. It's nice, and it wasn't a feel good thing. We were looking for somebody who would hold us accountable, but at the same time, as you're holding us accountable, we're holding you accountable, right? Like, wait, what does that mean, right? What does that really mean in this thing? I don't know, right? Is that really true? And if we can't ask that question, that's a red flag for me, right? And the same thing probably for you. And so that's been very important. And then the other is just, just stepping back was before we started the business, we had an idea, right? At some point, we were never really going to be like away from the business, but this was supposed to give us some sort of, financial freedom, but, just personal freedom to enjoy ourselves, to go out and do stuff. And then the business was in theory going to be passive, passive, but not as hands off, you know. And I think you've definitely helped us also kind of realize that because, in looking at, and I don't know their full business, but there are obviously more successful Zoom rooms than us, which obviously I'm super happy for them. But I I maybe not get the sense that they're also way more in the business than we are, right? And I think that's kind of their path or their goal. And so I'm just excited to be like, hey, still growing, still building, but not necessarily be kind of like chained to the business.
Right.
I'm excited. We're not there yet, but I can see a path going there, and I'm excited about that. Versus, sure, right? We might increase our sales by X%, but then we're running ragged, so Luis and I just looking at each other, just falling asleep. That probably isn't, that's a win in one ways and a big loss in a lot of other ways.
100%, 100%. And, we've spoken about this where, I feel that within the Zoom room infrastructure, how they measure the success of any given facility, just basing it off of top line without taking into account what it looks like at the bottom, like that's
Yes,
a flawed metric, right? If
very
you're
much so.
if you're because it doesn't tell the story. So I know that there are Zoom rooms that are ranked above you just from that metric alone, but
Sure.
that metric does not measure exactly what you just described, which is
Mhm.
the business is growing alongside you, which gives you the ability to step away from it and have freedom, right? Have liberty,
Mhm.
like actually
Mhm.
enjoy life.
Right.
And that's what
Right.
is being a business owner from my perspective. That's what it should deliver. It's one of the things that drives me to have the passion that I have because small businesses are the lifeblood of this country. But we as business owners should not be slaves to those businesses that are powering the economy, right? Like we should reap the rewards
Right.
for the
Right.
role
Yeah.
that we play in the economy.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's funny because I agree with you, but at the same time, it's maybe kind of like when you're working corporate job, that there's probably a better life for you, but you don't know it, and you still go to your 9 to 5 job every day, right? So for definitely for a minute there, like yeah, when we started talking, like, what do you mean I'm not supposed to be here? Right? What do you mean? It's what it should be, but for a lot of people it's not what it is. It's not the reality. And then yeah, we walk away from this like later on, and yeah, I would hate it to feel like a missed opportunity for life. So yeah.
Right, right. So, what's something that you believe about running your business now that you couldn't even see or as being a possibility 2 years ago?
um yeah, in a way, for sure, right? We have all of these, yeah, taking breaks, knowing that a break is not slacking off, it is re energizing you so that you can make bigger, better decisions later on. As you remember, I told you, I only had last year, we had the 1 day a week break. I had to finally had a day off after a couple of years, and I could only make decisions every the day after that because my brain was tired. Now that we have more days off, yeah, I just before this meeting I met with another person. I'm actually meeting with Chris Palmer later on. And it's all of these, like, and I'm excited, not because it's even to promote my business, because I can start helping them. Yeah, yeah, so that, just the thought of being, working, it's cliche, but yeah, working, on the business, not in the business, and being okay with that. And then also seeing our team grow. I love the fact that right now, yeah, Google reviews, and you'll see all of our trainers getting highlighted. I'm a proud dad. Like, oh, look at that, they're rewarding this, right? Yeah. So, and then building a culture where that's happening. Team is amazing. Yeah, super proud of them. So yeah, I think that's a couple of things. There's probably more, but yeah, those are what comes to mind right now.
Right, right. So, what value does it bring to you to reflect on your real financial numbers and all of the KPIs on a weekly basis via the war board?
it went from it feels like we're doing bad or it feels like we're doing great to okay, this is what's really happening. Yeah, I know. Especially when we started, it's like, oh, last few felt horrible. And then we'd be like, actually, it was not bad, right? So, yeah. So it went from feeling to knowing, and then once you know, you begin to trust it, and then then goals are a lot easier once once in the background that's working, right? And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's easy to fall in and out of it. And yeah, before we met, and I think because we were so in it, we were like on a daily basis, oh, this will happen today, and like depending what happened today, we would either be super happy or getting drunk. I don't drink, unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah, but you know what I mean? That's how it felt.
Right.
Now it's like, well, this week is here, but what's the trend for this month? What's the trend for us going here? It definitely makes us sleep better at night. No, knowing that where we're trending is where we're supposed to be.
Right. Now, for a business owner, because you mentioned working 60 to 80 hours, for a business owner that's currently doing that putting in all of the hours and really exhausting themselves, if someone in that position were to ask you, is coaching worth it? What would your honest answer be and why?
It's worth it if you are mentally ready for it, I think is kind of the thing, right? Because I've talked you up, obviously, other places, other Zoom rooms and whatnot, and yeah, and I've heard that they tried coaching. One, it has to be a good fit and whatnot, right? But the person has to be mentally ready for it. Had we started probably in the first 6 months, you would have fired me, because I'd just be like, no, man, we got to do this. We got to learn certain things. We got to, but hindsight 2020, yes, yeah, I would have told my younger version of myself, yeah, dude, just trust the process, right? But you have to go through it to do it. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 sort, but yeah.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So, what makes it hard to refer a business owner that you know to us in casual conversation, and what would make it easier?
Um, as you know, I like to see results first. I like to see, yeah, like let people experiment on it, because the thing is, it's very easy to use buzzwords, right? Like AI, automation, da da da, right? It's, and then sometimes I get excited about it because I geek out on it. But at the end of the day, right, results matter. Yeah, I think we've known each other for a minute now, but I saw you started working with all of the other people in our networking group. Talk to them, seeing that. I think that's very crucial. And then also how you how one accepts not really rejection, but like, hey, not right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, if like, if I said not right now, which I did, right, for a minute, and you'd be like, oh, I'm never going to talk to this guy again. I'm never going to give this guy value. Okay, this person's just in it for the payback. So I think you definitely over time, one, proved yourself with all our, mutual contacts. But two, you were always willing to be like, hey, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's talk about this, right? And just being of value, being of service regardless of the short-term results. I think that speaks volumes of like, what you as a person and as a business provide.
Man,
Mm.
thank you, brother. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
and not to say that
And
I'm going to give you crap for other stuff later on, but yeah, you know what I mean? But yes, yeah, but yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
man, JJ, I deeply appreciate you taking the time to have this
Of course, man.
conversation. We do
Yeah.
this every week, but
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
um, to kind of put in this format, because like I shared with you before, one of my objectives in 2026 and moving forward is to be a more intentional power referral partner for all of my client partners, because like you are my partner in crime. You're one of my partners in
There you
crime
go.
in this,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, this conversation kind of helps to shed some light not only on, because I know I didn't have any knowledge really of the dog training process at all, like what that even looks like.
Mhm.
And I know that there are people out there like me that don't have, they don't quite understand what that experience would actually look like. And the same thing exists when it comes to, is it right for me to consider business coaching at this time? And,
Mm.
the intent of this conversation is to ease both of those concerns by providing more clarity. So again, thank you so much, man.
Of course, yeah. And again, I mean, yeah, I get excited, I get nervous when we meet every week, but yeah, you hold us accountable. I feel like we hold you accountable as
100%,
well.
100%.
And I think I tend to be a positive person, but being surrounded by another person, right? Meeting with others, yeah, I get energized. It's like, oh, yeah, I should have done this more this week. Oh, I forgot to do this. What else can I be doing outside the business? Or yeah, talking to that person I was just talking to earlier, right? Yeah. Yeah, she needs probably help. Well, I'll be a referral for later. But you know what I mean? It's just that. It's like they're been around, but yeah, we could all use some help. And so just, knowing who to talk to has been amazing.
Man, good stuff, my brother.
All
Well, I
right.
will see you on Wednesday.
I
And
know.
again,
There you go.
deepest of gratitude, big dog.
Same here, man. Same here. Yeah, you keep doing what you're doing, Jesse.